Grab a beverage, pull up a chair, and focus all your energy on your television, because this is UMass Sports Weekly, your number one source for all things UMass sports. I'm your host, Tommy Calautti, and I'll be your tour guide in this wonderful adventure of Minuteman athletics. We have a docket full of sports to discuss, so let's get right into our show. First, our analysts will break down the Minutemen's loss to Colorado and see how they can prepare for Temple next week. Then, our men's soccer analysts will tell us how the Minutemen have been skidding and see if we can find any solutions to fix that. And then to round out our show, we'll talk about the women's field hockey team, my personal favorite team and the best team right now on campus. It's going to be a great show, so stay tuned for more. This is UMass Sports Weekly.
This is UMass Sports Weekly.
Welcome back. Last weekend, your Minuteman football team traveled cross-country to play NCAA opponent Colorado in a football matchup. Unfortunately for the Minutemen, things did not go as planned. They fell 48-14 in an unfortunate game. I'm here with our football analyst, Zander Manning. So Zander, when that game started, it seemed like things just went from bad to worse. Can you tell us what happened to fall apart for the Minutemen in that game?
You know, frankly, Tommy, I wouldn't even call this a game. It was absolute garbage, honestly. This team played like complete
You're
crap.
the analyst, not me.
Honestly, I mean, this team, they started out well. They started fighting. It was 7-7, then 14-14, fighting well in the first quarter, and then it just all fell apart. And the real problem here was UMass just couldn't get to Colorado quarterback, Sefo Liufau. He could throw the ball whenever he wanted, but not just that, but they could run the ball basically whenever they wanted. Just look at the graphic right here that Tommy here created. Their running game completely destroyed UMass. Absolutely destroyed. That was their downfall. They could not stop the run.
I believe it was something like 4 or 5 touchdowns, right?
Something like that. It was absolutely insane.
Well, you know, Zander, that's definitely a problem they're going to have to fix. But, you know, Liam used to say it last semester, we're an optimistic show. Talk about a couple of the standout players we can expect from UMass and some of the guys we expect to maybe break out and maybe change the tide for the Minutemen this year.
Well, I think there's the obvious players that you're going to get every year. You're going to see Blake Fronapple this year. He's going to break out. Last year, he was 4th in the nation in passing. Absolutely amazing. I firmly believe UMass won a few more games, he'd be in Heisman talks. But they only won 3 games. I don't think so. But then there's the obvious also. Tajay Sharp. He's going to be sharp this year, pun intended there.
Very good.
But a guy I want to look out for is Markin Michelle. He's a guy who's a dynamic wide receiver. He can run the ball. He can catch balls down the field. But he had over 300 yards rushing last year as a receiver. So that's one guy I'm going to look out for. Also, Shadrach Abrokwa on the running game. He was great last year. He's going to do great again this year. Another guy on the defensive side. I'm going to change it up here. You're going to go with Jovan Santos Knox.
That's 3 names.
All great players. Jovan Santos Knox is going to carry this defense this season, I believe, especially with his numbers last year, if you want to look at this graphic here. What great numbers there. He's definitely going to continue that into this year.
Well, Zander, like you said, the running game was difficult, so hopefully Santos Knox can turn it around for us. Now, looking forward to the rest of the season, it's tough to be optimistic, even though we were an optimistic show, about what's going to happen this year, especially after the Minutemen's first performance. But realistically, Zander, what can you tell us are your expectations for this team, record-wise and success-wise, in the NCAA?
Well, I got the schedule right here, Tommy. We got them playing Colorado week 1, Temple, Notre Dame, Florida International, and then you got your conference games against Bowling Green, Kent State, etc. I'm expecting this team to win maybe 6 games this year, 7 games, make a bowl game, because they've got a pretty easy schedule, pretty winnable division, the MAC East. You got to face teams like Miami, Buffalo, Akron's West, and Bowling Green. Some easy teams that they could have beaten, that they did beat last year. I mean, and then they got Ball State on their schedule that they just absolutely slaughtered last year in that game. Freezing cold weather, but great game. But some obvious losses in here, Notre Dame. But, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about this team, and I'd be surprised if they didn't make a bowl game.
Yeah, it is exciting, especially when teams like Notre Dame come down, or when UMass plays teams like Notre Dame, especially to put UMass on the map. But to finish up our segment, we're going to look to the immediate future. We're putting our blinders on Temple. We're on to Temple.
Yep.
What do we know about Temple? What can we expect from them? And what should we look for in this game on Saturday?
First thing I want to bring up about Temple, they beat Penn State. They beat Penn State 27-10. Not only did they beat Penn State, they limited Penn State to 183 total yards.
They shut down Hackenberg.
They shut down Hackenberg, indeed. Hackenberg, a leading candidate for the Heisman last year, led Penn State against BC in that bowl game at Yankee Stadium. He's a great quarterback, and they shut him down. They also shut down a Cincinnati offense. Very tough team to shut down as well. Beat both of them. They're 2-0. I heard on ESPN they're supposed to be a top 10 run defense this year. Keys to this game for UMass, they have to attack that defense, and I mean attack. Run that ball as much as possible. You pass the ball, you're not going to win this game. You might get a few yards every once in a while, but you're not going to win the game unless you break down that run defense. And that's their key for this game. If they can beat that defense, they can win this game.
Well, Zander, the game's at Gillette Stadium. All us UMass students are waiting for that first home game, for that tailgate. Everybody loves that. But, we have Blake Fronapple and Tajay Sharp. They were a dynamic duo last year. Hopefully the offense can spark. Hopefully the defense can stiffen up and the Minutemen can get back on track. Zander, thanks a lot. After the break, we'll be right back to talk some men's soccer. Do not touch that dial.